From Tally to Cali.
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by
Vitamin Energy.
The vitamins.
The energy.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
and Corey Clark.
Wake up! It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. Coming up on today's show, feels like FSU is still figuring things out on offense. What's the addition of another running back indicate? Link and the boys handle business in epic fashion in a crucial spot versus the top 5 Clemson team. And Lonnie and the ladies add more hardware to the Plex. Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it, everybody. Energy that lasts longer. How, you ask? 260 milligrams, all natural caffeine. The absorption tweaked just right. So not 5 hours of energy, everybody. 7 hours, probably even more. I know if I took a whole shot of it, I'd be like geeked for 9 hours, Cork. Like I take half of a shot. I take half of that Focus Plus Tropical Infusion flavored. Good stuff. VitaminEnergy.com. Shake it and take it. Go check it out, everybody. Noles helping Noles. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Subscribe to the website. You'll be getting added value as a member of the On3 community as we have acquired, merged. Have we merged, acquired? What are we saying we did with rivals? I don't know, but you're going to get some of that.
It's a hostile takeover.
Yeah, damn right. You're going to get some of that too, and you're going to get more for your money. So we're not like it's not some sort of money grab, everybody. It's incredible. Join us. Read all the great stuff over at warchant.com. Get involved in our running game threads throughout the baseball game, throughout the baseball season. Corey's columns, Ira's insights. Matt Lasser, Michael Langston on the recruiting front, Gene Williams, his war rooms, his insight into the realignment situation, Jeff Cameron, Tom Lang also dropping in nuggets on the Renegade Room. Can't go wrong with a membership at warchant.com. Get it for mom. Get it for mom. Mother's Day coming up, everybody. You don't know what to get mom? The mom that has everything? Maybe a membership to warchant.com. What do you think Sharon's handle would be if she was a frequent poster on the tribal council, Corey Clark?
Yeah, she is a member, but I don't know what she would like. Old Lady Clark. Old lady's. I didn't mean it like that. Like Clark's old. Well, no, Clark's old lady would be Stephanie. So she wouldn't have one. Probably Fire Norvell. Fire Norvell 82.
Warchant.com, Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. How are you, Corey?
I'm good, and Stephanie wanted to give an update that her cat is fine.
Nice.
I guess it's our cat. Sorry. It's our cat, Olson. Mr. Olson is fine, no cancer, just some sort of bug or infection that apparently Stephanie caught because she's really been struggling the last couple days. But went to Pearl Jam on Thursday night, went and watched the Braves lose on Friday night, got down in time to see 8 innings of a baseball game on Saturday night, and then 9 innings of a game on Sunday. Okay. An exciting, fun-filled weekend.
Pearl Jam play every song you wanted them to play?
Everything except Given to Fly. That was the one Stephanie wanted to play, that wanted to hear. And I wanted to hear that too. But, yeah, they hit all the good ones, man. That was a really, really good concert. It is crazy, man. Like, it's all the same songs we've been hearing for 25, 30 years. But they all look like me now. Everybody in the crowd looks like me. Everybody on stage looks like me. So it's not quite the vibe and energy that maybe it was when Eddie Vedder was climbing the scaffolding with long hair, but it was still a really fun show, and they still rock, buddy. They still rock.
In a just society, we probably would be opening up the show celebrating the victory that Florida State had on the diamond in baseball, softball as well, clinching the ACC regular season championship. Shout out to Coach Lonnie Alameda and the Florida State softball
Shout out
program.
to Jazzy Francic for the no-hitter on Saturday, too. That was the first no-hitter by an FSU freshman since 2012 and their first ever no-hitter against a ranked team. So that was pretty cool.
Shoving against a good Virginia Tech team, yes?
Yeah, I mean, they proved that because they beat Florida State in Game 3. But Florida State still won the series and still clinched the regular season title, which is a great, great accomplishment because ACC's kind of better than it's ever been. It's a real league now.
Yeah, so Florida State baseball with a huge series win over Clemson.
Yeah.
I mean, and I feel like everybody ahead of Florida State lost. I know Texas got swept on the road against Arkansas. I think LSU might be ranked ahead of Florida State. They got handled. But we'll talk about that. I don't know, minute 18, 19 of the show. As always, show notes, show description, timestamps, because we love you folks. But commitments were had. Signees were had and made on the football side of things, Corey. A pair of Gavins over the weekend. Namely Gavin Sawchuck, the running back from Oklahoma, who had a sensational game against the Noles in Orlando a few years back in the Cheez-It Bowl, and then Gavin Blackwell, a wide receiver from North Carolina. Now, Sawchuck hasn't really done anything of consequence in a football game since the late 2023 season. He had a stretch there. I think he had maybe 300-yard games over 4 or 5 weeks, but last year, injury-plagued season. Oklahoma's went and got Jaden Ott from Cal out of the portal. They got Javante Barnes. That's a guy that Florida State wanted as a freshman a few years ago. I don't want to poo-poo the signing, but I do wonder, and I heard you guys talking about this on headlines. I listened to it as I was driving to Jacksonville over the weekend, but I'm just so surprised that Florida State kind of finds themselves in this position where they're offering so many people at so many different positions at this point in the game that it does affect the way that I look at possibly the floor for the team this season. I don't know if you have any macro, micro thoughts on them going after another receiver and another running back. Sawchuck gives you something, some legitimate hope for something. Blackwell has not really done anything in his career, let alone in the last 2 years. What's your takeaway? How do you process, I guess, the fact that Florida State went after a running back and a wide receiver that are veteran dudes, but maybe not high on production of late?
Looks like Sawchuck is from Littleton, Colorado. I wonder if he went to Columbine. Not to bring up a horrible memory for our country, but he's from Littleton, Colorado, so it might be a Columbine High grad. But yeah, no, the receiver that they got on Sunday, the kid from North Carolina, that's a depth piece. You know, look at his numbers. What does he have? 40 catches in 4 years. No more than like 14 catches in a season. Had like 11 last year, whatever it was. The numbers were so mediocre. No, I shouldn't say. Well, yeah, mediocre, just almost non-existent. That it's like Darian Williamson type numbers. It's a depth piece. The Sawchuck one, though. That's an intriguing one because Florida State fans will remember he had 100 yards, exactly 100 yards in that Cheez-It Bowl. And then as a freshman, I think they had didn't you say their starter opted out?
Yeah.
And so he played a lot more in that game than he had all season. And then he started out 2023. I guess he was still a redshirt freshman. The first game of the year, he had 1 carry. He had 9 carries, 7 carries, 1 carry. And then the last 5 games of the season, he went over 100 yards each game. Had 22 for 130 and a win over TCU. Had 135 and a win over West Virginia. Had 111 in a close loss to Oklahoma State. Had a 64-yard run, a 62-yard run. The point being, he ran for 744 yards. That's encouraging to me because that's a guy that's done it in a real conference against real defenses multiple times. He became a feature back and did it well. Again, it was 5 games. But when's the last time Florida State had a guy run for 100 yards in 5 straight games?
Dalvin?
Done? I don't know. Yeah, I guess probably Dalvin. Yeah, I remember he played at Florida State, right? Dalvin Cook. So yeah, I'm intrigued by that, Gavin, a lot. I think there's a chance he could be something. And he hardly had any carries at all in 2024. So he should be fresh.
Quad and hamstring injuries plagued him this past season. Which better than knee reconstruction or an Achilles or a hip injury. So
yeah, I think he immediately just from the fact that he's had 6 or 7 100-yard games in his career, including against the Florida State defense in 22. I think he immediately becomes your best running back in the room until we see what Chroma is.
Wow, right. So you're putting him ahead of. I mean, he has a better career he's had than a guy like Roydell. So I guess that's fair to say then.
I mean, look, man, he had against Arizona in a bowl game. He had 15 for 134 and 3 catches for 42 yards. Roydell's never had numbers like that. I think Roydell might have had 1 100-yard game. This guy had 5 in a row. Now it's a untapped because again he was hurt in 2024. He was still kind of borderline second string in 23, and then obviously didn't play much in 22 till the Cheez-It Bowl. But it feels like there's some stuff there, man. Again, a guy that's run for that many yards in a season, 744 yards in a season. I don't know that other than Roydell, any of the running backs in your room combined have that much. I guess Cam Davis and Jalen Lucas maybe combined for something like that. But yeah, I'm genuinely excited about that addition.
Absolutely worth it.
Yes, correct.
Gavin Blackwell, not as much. I don't know. But what would you have thought if you would have known in March, the beginning of March, that Florida State was going to go ahead and add a running back that's coming off an injury season where he got recruited over at a Power 2 program. Like, would that have indicated to you that they're not as far along as they thought on offense, or was this kind of something too good to pass up? It's probably a crappy way to look at things here. And I do agree with you. I mean, when you look at how he performed in 2023, clearly healthy behind a good offensive line. I mean, Oklahoma was a disaster last year, especially offensively.
Yes, correct.
So I don't know who would have really, I don't know how different they really were from Florida State in terms of their running attack. But I just think about the fact that, it was down between, I think, like West Virginia's maybe, where he was going to get on a plane and go visit if he didn't commit to Florida State over the weekend. And, you just think about the teams that you're trying to chase, like, the Clemsons and, all these other Power 2 programs. I mean, I don't know if we're considering chasing down Ohio State, trying to chase down Wisconsin, Penn State, Oregon. Just that those teams are not in the market of adding a guy that is such like a wild card X factor. But I guess it's definitely worth it. So to me, that speaks to where Florida State is right now.
Yeah, well, 100%. But I also, but I don't think I'm not worried about that or concerned about it, because it's not a concern. It's a concern I had anyway. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, oh, man, they must not really like their running backs if they went and got Gavin, Sawchuck. It's like, yeah, no duh. They don't like their running backs. There's nothing to like. That doesn't mean you should hate them, but there's nothing that you've seen in that running back room where you're like, yeah, that's a high-level Division I player. I don't know if Gavin Sawchuck is a high-level Division I player. I do know he's at least proven he can do it.
Yeah. Fair.
There's at least that in there. It's like going back to baseball real quick. The thing you like about Joe Charles is that he has proven he can get big outs and be filthy at times. You never know when it's going to show up and when it doesn't, but at least you know it's in there, unlike some pitchers on other teams or Florida State's team where it's never really been in there. Sawchuck has shown that it's in there. I don't know that Cam Davis is ever going to be a guy. Might be awesome. No idea. Roydell, Keziah, just don't. They have never proven that they can be a guy like this. At least Sawchuck has that in his past. Doesn't mean he'll be there in 2025, but also with Gus Malzahn's offense, I wouldn't put it past him. I just like an offense with this kid as your starter against Alabama as opposed to Roydell Williams and Keziah Holmes. I just think this guy gives you a better chance to have the kind of running back runner that you want until Crowmaw is ready. Yeah. That could end up being a pretty decent duo. If he can stay healthy, the Sawchuck-Crowmaw duo, I think it's more exciting. There's some real potential there that you don't really feel great about when you compare. I mean, you feel great about, especially when you compare it to like the Keziah, Roydell, Cam Davis trio. I just think there's more juice in this one.
Here's my thing. This is probably a clumsy way of saying it. I think in February or March, I thought there was no possible way they would not have a adequate running game. I think the fact they went and signed Gavin Sawchuck made them think there was a possibility they could maybe not have an adequate running game unless they address that position.
Well, maybe, or you just wanted somebody that's better than what you got. And if somebody that's better, like they would make it work. But like, yeah, you can make a meal that's edible with, average groceries. What a metaphor.
Keep going.
Guys,
keep going.
I'm with
this.
You don't pay. It's crazy. Y'all don't have to pay for this.
It's unbelievable.
But you could make an average. You could make an average meal, an edible meal. But if there's a prime rib or some, is it Wagyu beef?
Wagyu.
If you got some Wagyu or some Wagyu, go for it. I'm not saying my man's Wagyu beef, but it might be a ribeye. And I just think it's a better. He can make your running game better because he's a better running back than what you currently have on your roster. At the end of the day, it comes down to scheme, offensive line, a mobile quarterback. Those all play factors too. But a running back that can turn an 8-yard gain into an 11-yard gain or a 40-yard gain if he breaks a couple tackles, take it. It doesn't hurt you. It makes it even if it just makes you degrees better, it's still worth it.
The last thing I have on this, man, and I don't want to call
I'm not going to sit here and listen to this Gavin Sawchuck hate. No, you best believe, folks, I'm coming up with a nickname with that last name. There's got to be something in the works.
Yeah. Listen, it's absolutely worth it. I mean, I don't know how much money they have to, what kind of compensation package he's getting, but like 2023 wasn't that long ago. And again, 4 straight weeks. And listen, he was averaging, I think if you tally up that 5-week run, I think he was probably averaging over 7 yards per carry. So it's definitely worth it. I just wonder about when I feel like the only running back we really heard them go after, and I think there was some murmurings about them maybe going after Shamar Brown, who was the Walter Payton winner in FCS. Or maybe I think it was whatever the award is for maybe it's the Jerry Rice Award. It's like the standout freshman offensive player at the FCS level. He was at North Dakota State. I think he ran for over 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns. North Dakota State was the national champions at the FCS level. I think there might have been some communication there. He ends up going to Miami.
Yeah.
But I just think when we heard Mike talk about, we're gonna go after fit. It's all about fit, the right piece. The only running back that we've known that they were after in the transfer market, you have to go back to January, was the kid from Utah State, Rasul Faison, that they were very much making him a priority one kind of candidate, kind of signing piece. And I think he goes to South Carolina. From then until the Sawchuck showing up on campus, I don't remember hearing anything about running backs really being on the radar for Florida State. And shoot, this isn't me trying to listen, I'm wrong too many times. I've said that too many times as well, unfortunately. I'm so surprised that they didn't get rid of any running backs once the portal window closed. I figured at least one of these guys would have ended up going out there. So for them to have kind of waited off this long to get a running back, and then at this point they get Sawchuck, I think it's really serendipitous too. I mean, it's a good fit to pick up at this point. That's the best you could possibly hope for. But I just think it's unfortunate that they still had to find themselves looking for an answer at that position. Yeah,
but it is what it is, right? Go if you're not good in a room, get better at it. Yeah. That's your goal. And if they had the means in a spot, take it. You look, man. Obviously, when you have 7 running backs on your roster, have no idea what Mekhi Danzy is going to do or be. He did shout out to him. He did run his whatever meet they were in this weekend. He won the 400 meter. He's now got the 6th fastest time in the country in the 400 meter. He ran 45 flat, which is a PR, and it's the 3rd fastest time in Florida State history, and is a freshman. So I hope he continues to play football. He might have a career in track. This is really elite stuff for a guy that doesn't even devote a lot of his time to it. But so you have Mekhi Danzy, who I assume is coming back after track season is over. Cam Davis, don't know. Keziah, Jalen Lucas, Roydell Williams, now Sawchuck, Cromaw's coming in.
Sam Singleton.
Sam Singleton. That's a crowded room, but look, if you're probably going up to 105 and 120 scholarships anyway, it's like, all right, well, so you have 8. They could have left. Probably 1 or 2 of them should have left. But they didn't. They're here. A competition makes everything better. I also looked up when it comes to Sawchuck a little. I don't know when he scored the touchdown, but in that same year in 2023 when he had his good year at Oklahoma, he also was on a team that beat Gus Malzahn. They beat UCF 31-29, and he had 65 yards in that game, including. They lost that. They did win that game. What the heck, Clark? Get it together.
See how it is. See how it is when you're doing on the fly research. It's
not
as easy as it
seems. I keep thinking he played for UCF, but no, he played against Gus's team in 2023. But Oklahoma was only up 24-23 late in the 4th quarter, and then Sawchuck ripped off a 30-yard run to put them up 31-23. They ended up winning 31-29. UCF's 2-point conversion was failed with 1:16 left. Imagine Florida State last year scoring 29 points in a game. That would have been fun. But anyway, so Gus Malzahn saw him up close was the point, just like Mike Norvell saw him up close. So the fact that they're actually going off, seeing him on the field, on the grass, as we like to say, and not just on film, although the film speaks for itself when you're in a place like Oklahoma. Again, I think that might have added a layer to them wanting that kid.
Oklahoma 113th in total offense, 76th in the rushing offense last year. But
they were not good.
What we would have given to average 155 on the ground last year,
exactly right. Been a bowl team.
What I also liked, and this might have happened after we did our last show of the week, I did like the kid from Rutgers. Actually, maybe we did talk about that. I just think we did talk about that. I don't get too repetitive on that. I do think that obviously they were limited, this offensive staff, guys like Herb Hand and Gus Malzahn, to recruit properly from high school players in the 2025 class. So they had to do everything they could in the portal, which they addressed it. Listen, they've got their tackles and Pettis and Hansen. They've got their center. They've got another guard piece with Adrian Medley.
But they got 2 kids, right, that they brought in that are both they could be here for multiple years.
Yeah, really
Young
like
guys.
the kid from Rutgers, more so than Josh Raymond from Vanderbilt. He's a Florida native, I think, from Lake Mary. But, why not address that position and get more guys in that room to where you can start evaluating and see if they can be part of your future.
Yeah,
so.
man. Like, I think that's the way to attack it, assuming, again, this is all a big assumption, who the F knows, but assuming that they're going to allow 20 more scholarships per year or maybe up to 30. Man, flood your offensive line room, and you will luck into 5 guys that can play. Just like I am of the opinion that the Browns did a smart thing, maybe not the guys they took, but you need a quarterback, man. So draft 2 every year.
Yep.
One of them might hit. It is worth it to take it to go. I don't care if you get a guy that can start as a defensive tackle for 6 years. If your quarterback sucks, your team's going to suck. You have to have a quarterback to win in the NFL. You have to have an offensive line that's at least average or decent. You have to have real players. Go get some real Division I level caliber offensive linemen. Throw bodies at the problem, especially when you don't have to be as efficient anymore. You can go have 25 offensive linemen on your roster if there's going to be 115 on the team. So I like the idea of going and getting – it's almost like another signing class, especially because they're not one-year rentals. They're guys you'll get to see. They're developmental guys that you'll have a very good handle in December if they can play for you or not.
Also, Florida State added – I think he's going to be coming in as a redshirt sophomore, Jarvis Boatwright Jr. He's a kid they did recruit out of high school. He's part of the 2023 class from Clearwater High School, home of Luke Laux, Florida State's men's basketball coach. By the way, Sawchuck went to a private school out there in Littleton, did not go to
all right. Okay. Thanks for that research,
the
buddy.
infamous.
And what does Boatwright play? Remind people what Boatwright plays.
He plays safety.
Yeah.
Plays safety.
Yep.
Played past 2 seasons at USC, but did not record any stats. So I guess that kind of falls into another developmental piece. I don't think that's going to obviously be somebody you're leaning on, but it's been an interesting mix of guys they've kind of gone after. They've gone after some freshmen here, again, like Raymond, the kid from Rutgers, Jalen. His last name escapes me right now. I apologize, everybody, but I feel like the kid from Rutgers probably has a better chance of getting on the field year 2 than Raymond. But Boatwright, so it's you got guys that probably aren't going to get on the field this year. Then you got a guy like Sawchuck that you're really hoping and putting a lot of chips on being ready and healthy and finding his kind of form.
I think safety is a position that I don't know if I'd say it's of need, but it's certainly a want. I think wide receiver was more of a I think wide receiver is a need, but not a starting wide receiver. So that was kind of a going back to the kid from North Carolina, and I can't remember his last name. I know his first name's Gavin.
Gavin Blackwell.
So he leaves North Carolina, obviously, because he's disgusted by Belichick, right?
Clearly.
Couldn't be in the same room with him. I understand.
Gross.
Gavin, you're already shot to the top of my list of favorite people on the team. But, I don't know when you have a Deuce Robinson and a Squirrel White, and Boggs is a guy that I think they really think is going to be something, along with Elijah Moore and LaWayne McCoy. That's a fivesome there of 2 guys proven, 3 guys not proven at all, but have some real potential, and you want them to play, I think. Or you at least believe in them, that I don't know that you can go get some really high performance guy out of the portal. You just needed a body, really. And not that I'm not trying to diminish him and say he's just a body. I'm saying, but it's going to be hard to go get, or I maybe don't want to spend the money on a guy that has 100 career catches. You're assuming Deuce and Squirrel are your guys. You're assuming, so you basically, for the people that might be upset with the wide receiver room, and I'm not ecstatic about it necessarily, but you've added 3, what they think anyway, are big-time talents. They think Squirrel White is a big-time talent. They absolutely love Boggs, and they think Deuce is an NFL player. So you went and added that in the offseason, which you had to add a lot, man, because that was not a good wide receiver room at all. So you went and added 3 good pieces, and then you have these young guys that you hope develop alongside them. So that was kind of the gray area where you're not going to go into the portal for a star or even a starter, but you would like a guy that's played at this level. So I feel like you kind of went and got a Darian Williamson. Maybe he can have a big moment for you. Maybe he can be the difference in a couple of drives, a couple of catches on our first downs on a drive to help win a game. I don't know. I'm not expecting 50 for 800 from him.
Well, here's my thing. they do practice and they have multiple teams and segments and personnel groups. So like when you think about, all right, so if we get to watch practice, we assume first team offense rolls out there and they're in a 3-receiver set. It's going to be Deuce, Squirrel White, and probably Javen Boggs. After that, you're talking about LaWayne McCoy, BJ Gibson, Mekhi Danzy, Elijah Moore, Tayshaun Gelsey, Willie Suarez, Camden Fryer.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you go 3 deep and you start wondering about, you got Kevin Sperry. You think that kid's a future talent for your team. Do you really want him to go out there during practice and throw reps to a walk-on and a true freshman almost primarily because everybody else is going to have their reps working with some of the other groups? So you bring a guy like Blackwell. I don't know if that's how you market it to him, but I mean that's kind of the role he's
definitely
you don't.
You don't want to market to him like, hey man, our third stringer needs some guys to throw to, and I think he could work himself into that rotation, but and get some playing time. I mean, we don't know what LaWayne McCoy is, man, or Elijah Moore for that matter.
None of those.
We
guys.
like some of it. We like what we've seen in practice. At least I did when they were healthy. But we don't know anything about those guys. So he has a chance to play. It's just this is the kind of guy you were going to get. I think once you just realize that you spent your money on the 2 guys you got in December. Yeah. Those were your 2 big draws. You're kind of filling a hole here with just a depth piece hole because you lost 3 wide receivers in like the span of 48 hours a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, last thing, I think a lot of people, and I hopped in one of these threads, a lot of people were lamenting kind of what Miami's done here in the last week. Both those wide receivers you were after, the kid from BYU, the Tony Johnson kid from Cincinnati, you were very interested in. Miami kind of poached both of those guys. One of the safeties from Tennessee who had actually played a bunch of football. Tennessee was at Middle Tennessee State with Rick Stockstill. He ends up committing to Miami, so that's why you kind of end up going after Boatwright. A lot of people keep seeing this, and again, Shamar Brown's a guy that ran for 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, North Dakota State. That's a true freshman. He ends up going to Miami. There was some communication, we think, between Florida State and him. And then people are naturally upset about what they see Miami's doing and what you feel like the inactivity or the inadequacy of what Florida State's doing on the track and on the trail. But what this all comes down to, Corey, and this is, again, like everything's going to be laid bare this season, which is to me, I don't want to call it exciting, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of ambiguity after what happens this season in terms of what we think Mike is, what he's not, what the staff is, because ultimately they went all in on Deuce Robinson. Ultimately they went all in on Squirrel White. Ultimately they went all in on getting Micah Pettis and getting those pieces. So if they can get a guy that can hold down the right side of the offensive line, if they can get a guy that's a true, legitimate, bona fide number 1 wide receiver that's going to catch you 65 passes, if Squirrel White can be a guy that's going to catch you 45, 50, like if those guys play to the level that we assume they've been compensated, if they produce at that level, this season will be fine. This season will be a team that's going to compete for a playoff spot or at least winning this conference in November, being relevant in November if those guys play to their capability. I don't think there's anything you really could have added that you lost out on to Miami that would have been able to lift your ceiling that much.
Yeah, and I also think when it comes to that position, Miami's more appealing. Not just maybe they spent a lot more money than you, I don't know, but I'm talking about in this window. They've got Carson Beck, who is an NFL quarterback, theoretically, in quotes, we'll see, but he's thought of as an NFL quarterback. They need to give him some weapons. You've got Tommy Castellanos, who has not proven to be like a great thrower of the football. You also are in an offense that's a predominant run heavy. So, that's not all that appealing to wide receivers that might be on the market right now. And honestly, you don't need a ton if those guys stay healthy.
Exactly.
As we've talked about, if you're running 60% of the time, that means you're only throwing 25 passes a game. There aren't that many catches to go around. And you like your tight ends too. And running backs, the screen game. So I think that you don't. It's not like you need 6 good wide receivers. You really need 3. It's just, injuries happen. Competition is very important. And so, in practice, I'm talking about make sure whoever that third wide receiver is has to really earn it. But, look, everybody's got holes. Everybody laments where they are right now to a certain extent. I know apparently Clemson fans don't like their defensive end recruiting. This is what it's like. This is what college football is like now. Everybody has issues. You hope, and you're absolutely right, this is the season for Norvell to prove that last year you hope was the anomaly. But but I trust that Malzahn. I think they've got enough pieces. I like Sawchuck. I think he could be a good running back. Don't think he's special.
Corbin, like Jay-Sean Corbin.
No, perfect analogy. Yeah, I don't think he's special, but I think he can be good. I don't know. Maybe Deuce Robinson is special. I don't think Squirrel Wright is necessarily special. And when I say special, I'm talking Rashad Green, Peter Warrick, Keon Coleman. But he could be. You've gotten better at your skill positions, which is all you wanted to do. I think you've upgraded at quarterback substantially. I absolutely know you've upgraded at wide receiver, and I absolutely know you've upgraded at running back. Now, maybe not by a million degrees, but you've upgraded at all those positions because you were horrible last year and you had to. You've also upgraded your offensive line. So all that should, and your coaching staff, all that should lead to, I don't know, man, double the amount of points you scored last year, which is, I don't know, good for 6th in the ACC. That should be like basement level. You've got good skill players now. Again, not great. If they stay healthy, you've got some good stuff here.
You know it's got good stuff?
I do, but say it anyway.
Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway, cptallybar.com, the website. Hope you all enjoyed 11:05 performing live this past Saturday at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Live music most weekends at the CP. There's also a jukebox, and there isn't. You can pick it. Take control of your own destiny. Great, delicious food, ice-cold beverages, attentive, congenial, awesome serving staff, waiters, TVs galore, dartboards, pool tables, anything you would want from your favorite sports bar. If you're looking for one, if you're a free agent, go sign up at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Corey, were you able to mingle about with your people at the CP this past weekend?
I was. Went up there Saturday night, saw 11:05, and they were a good band. They played our kind of music. A female lead singer was good. The whole band was good. It was a good vibe. It was also post-graduation, so there were a lot of graduates in the crowd, or graduate families anyway. And watched some sports, won some money on some bets. It was a good night. You
too can enjoy the same similar great memories that Corey Clark just went over by going to the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, 2475 Appalachia Parkway. It's Wake Up Warchant presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com. Welcome back in, everybody. Good segue we would have probably had if we would have gone straight to it, Corey, was talking about like Clemson, although, I mean, it applies to their baseball team, obviously, but them not being happy with maybe their defensive ends, and every team has holes. And that was not made ever more apparent than Florida State's bullpen all weekend long. Friday night, the beauty and the misery of the sport is that I found myself in the matter of 12 pitches when Florida State went from leading Friday night 2-0 to trailing after 12 pitches 4-2, telling myself they're going to lose this game, they're going to lose this series, and then they're going to be fighting for their lives the last weekend of the season against North Carolina, try to just hold on to being a 16 seed so they can at least host a regional. Right. And this bullpen is just going to be a complete autopsy and told you so and hand-wringing over it. Well, apparently Clemson's bullpen maybe not as mighty. Maybe Florida State's offense is just that relentless. Maybe this team has just got this has some sort of intangible that you want. Florida State goes on to beat top 5 Clemson. They rally back in extra innings on Friday night, and what I would call probably, Corey, I would say at least one of the top 25 best games in Dick Hauser Stadium history.
Oh, okay. Well, let's list them. Well, so let's say that's 18. What would you say is number 6?
Quincy Neaporte's walk-off win.
Okay, perfect.
That's all I got. I didn't want to go too hyperbolic, but listen, they find themselves down 4-2 in the 9th inning. They get a double, I think, from Chase Williams. James Hankerson comes in as a pinch hitter. RBI gets it within 1 run. Gage Harrelson rips off a hot shot that goes past the hot corner for the game-tying run. Florida State, John Abraham kind of came in after Joe Charles couldn't slam the door after Jamie Arnold's performance. Abraham allows a solo home run in the 10th inning. Max Williams responds in kind with a solo home run. Then we go to the 11th inning, and, I mean, just an absolute gutty performance. I don't know, gutty, but just like Max Williams, way to just show up when your team needs you, drives in the game-winning run, did the same thing against Wake Forest a few weeks ago. Also had an incredible 8-5 double play put out in the 6th inning that kind of, maybe in hindsight allowed Florida State to win that game on Friday. It was an incredible performance from Max on Friday. Walk me through the rest of the weekend. It seems like Saturday they were in really good position to maybe go ahead and get the series clinched. Mother Nature had some plans, and then Sunday it went from amazing to oh my God to amazing again.
Yeah, and real quick when it comes to Max Williams, and I'm not going to relitigate what happened against Stetson, I'm saying, but he was very emotional after that home run to tie the game, and he was also rightly very emotional for the walk-off game winner. So I don't want people to say that nobody wants to see emotion. That's perfect emotion. That's emotion that we all understand, and it's awesome to see. And he was emotional again on Sunday after that big win. And he had a good series overall. He only got the one hit on Sunday, but it was a 410-foot home run during that home run derby in the 8th inning. But I think, you look at what they play, 26 innings. No, I guess they did play a full 27, maybe even 28 innings. I think that was as well as they played all year for like 24 of them. Vellini was really, really good for 7 innings. Arnold was Arnold. I mean, that's what you do. That's who he is. He's turned into that. Well, it shouldn't turn it. He's stayed that guy. He's certainly in the running to be ACC Pitcher of the Year. He was great again. Really cool moment on Friday night to win that game when you're down to your final strike. I feel like a couple of times, and then you tie against a good. That's the thing. Clemson has a closer that's lights out.
15 out of 15.
Until Friday night, and they got so you felt like you almost kind of stole one on Friday night, and then you felt like you had one slip away on Saturday. And I just honestly, I blame the rain more than anything. I blame the rain more than the bullpen. Bellini's cruising right along. It's 3-1. It starts to pour rain. He gives up a couple of hits, including one that I think Cal Fisher probably at least knocks down if it's not slippery and muddy and pouring. But the ball gets down the line for second and third, and then the kid scores the go-ahead run on an error by Fisher. I think they gave it to Lodis. They have to go change it. It was a perfect throw to Fisher, and it just clipped off his glove, and the kid ended up scoring after stumbling. You felt like he gave that a game away because they came back on Sunday and tacked on a couple of more. But what I liked about when they continued the game from Saturday because it got postponed because of the lightning. What I loved about Sunday's game, Aslan, and you texted me and Ira about it when it was like 10-1. Yeah. You're like, they could blow this game. Not necessarily just because you believe in the FSU bullpen. It's the exact same team that did it to you last year twice. Some different lineups, of course, but overall, it's the same program that you had a 8-1 lead in Game 2 against them last year, and you gave up 8 runs in the 9th inning to lose, and then the next day you had an 11-2 lead in the 6th, and you lost that game too. And then here you are on Sunday in a huge game for RPI purposes, ACC first place standings, and you're up 10-0. Next thing you know, it's 11-9. You've blown it. They're all the way back. And yet you go and score the last 9 runs of the game.
And mercy ruled.
That's a nice answer. That's a nice answer to come back, and the offense did what it did on Sunday. And that's just, again, that's a huge win. The bullpen is an issue. All these teams have issues, as you mentioned. Most of the teams that are ranked ahead of Florida State, at least in most of the polls, I think Baseball America has Florida State 19th, which is insanity. But they lost, so I don't know how high Florida State's going to rise after winning 2 out of 3 against the top 10 team. But that's a really big series win. And do it any way you can. Sometimes Sundays, they're going to be high scoring. They should be anyway. Clemson certainly didn't throw anybody great on the mound on Sunday, and you took advantage. You had 6 home runs. Lodis, who didn't have a hit all weekend until Sunday, went 3 for 3 with 2 home runs. One that I feel like went 450 feet. It was just a bomb off the scoreboard. Miles Bailey, 4 for 4 with a big home run. Drew Farreau had a home run from each side of the plate. Max Williams had a home run. Gage Harrelson had 4 hits. It was a great offensive display on Sunday, and you absolutely needed it. Because, Mendez only gave you 10 outs. Your bullpen was patchwork together until you got to Charles. It's going to be the recipe, though, right, Aslan? This isn't a perfect team. There's no such thing as a perfect team. You have Jamie Arnold. Mm-hmm. Oh, I came up with a saying, by the way. So you don't remember the saying. None of us were alive for it. But when the Milwaukee Braves had Warren Spahn and Johnny Sane. Those were 2 all-star pitchers. Warren Spahn, an all-time left-hander Hall of Famer. The saying was Spahn and Sane and then pray for rain because they didn't have any pitchers but those 2. Yeah. How about Jamie and Joey and then pray for Snowy?
All right.
It's not bad, right?
Yeah.
That's not bad. But, yeah, look, man, you have some question marks and some holes. At the bullpen, you certainly have a question mark Game 3 starter. But you're blessed with one of the best starting pitching duos in the country with Jamie Arnold and Joey Bellini, who was, again, very, very good on Saturday. Very good on Saturday until the rain came.
Elite.
He's been elite most of the year. Yeah. He's been terrific. And then you have maybe the National Player of the Year in Lodis. You have Gage Harrelson, who's hitting 380 at leadoff. You have Max Williams, who's 17 home runs. You have Miles Bailey, who's probably going to be a freshman All-American. Like you have Chase Williams, who's just Mr. Electricity. Fisher's a real. You got up and down the lineup. You have a pretty darn good lineup, but you have some special in there. As I talk about special a lot, Lodis is special, man. Max is special. Farrow had a really great weekend, and he can be special. He can get going. It's like, yes, we lament so many times what the team doesn't have. Well, let's take stock in the fact that they might have the first pick in the draft. Lodis might have played himself into a first-rounder. Max Williams might be a first-rounder. You might have 3 or 4 major leaguers on, maybe more than that on this team when it's all said and done. You have a really good offense and an elite 1-2 starting pitching combo, and you just hope you can figure out some bullpen stuff. But either way, great win, and I think Clemson would trade places with you. Yeah. I think they would trade your roster for their roster.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what are they? I wonder, what are they saying about their bullpen? Right? Like that's
see, I think they really do like their bullpen. Like the guy that came in to close out Game 2 on Sunday. No, on Sunday. Oh, Sunday. He's got really good numbers too. And he had a 1-2-3 ninth, I think. Like he looked good. So they had the kid that has the 15 saves, and they have one. So they have 3 guys that they can really depend on. Now he didn't get it done on Friday night, but they have a closer that's lights out. And so they have 2 or 3 really good bullpen guys. Florida State, I don't think you could say have any good bullpen guys or like dependable, consistent guys. Yeah. But then I don't think Clemson has any dependable starters. So that's the trade you make. Yeah. You go into any series, if they pitch well, you're getting 12 to 13 innings out of Arnold and Bellini. You know, that's not bad. That's more than Clemson's getting out of their 2 big bullpen arms. So I still think you'd rather have your pitching staff because you have 2 really good starting pitchers that can get you 36 outs.
Could you get really arrogant and throw Mendez and like Johnny Holstaff in Game 1 of a regional?
No. No, you can't because no, don't do that. Okay. Just because whoever you're going to be facing in Game 3, if Bellini and Arnold win their 2 games, they're going to be doing a Johnny Holstaff thing too. And you'll at least be at home, and you have the better offense. So get to 2-0 and then take your chances. I get what you're saying, but no, college baseball is too hard and too good now, man. You take a chance and screw around, and Mendez doesn't get you out of the 4th inning, and you're down 6-1. You lose to like a Hofstra or something. It can be really hard to come back. Then you're having Jamie Arnold pitch in like in an elimination game. Yeah. And then you have Bellini pitching no, don't do that.
Yeah. The thing about the bullpen is just like, Kinnear comes in. So just Friday. So Friday, Kinnear comes in, I think, after Abraham go. So they go Charles, Abraham, Kinnear, and then they bring in Peyton Prescott, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Like Kinnear, I thought did well. I think he had 1 inning of work. He got out of maybe like 2/3 of an inning, got out of a jam. And I'm like, wow, he did really well. They should ride with him the rest of the way here. But they end up bringing Peyton Prescott in. I'm like, well, that felt a little premature. But then they end up winning the game, and they're fine. Joe Charles, who gave you nothing on Friday, and I guess he might have been dealing with something because when we talked to Mike Capozzi on Thursday, we didn't get Link on his usual weekly press conference. He mentioned that, Joe's ready to go now after, missing some time. It made it sound like maybe he's kind of been working through something. Like Joe Charles, for whatever his shortcomings were on Friday night, came in on Sunday, and the game started kind of getting a little bit sideways there, but was able to settle things down and get them out of that game in a good fashion. So I think Abraham did fairly okay. So it's like this thing that you see glimpses from them, which I don't know. You obviously want to see more from them. At this point in May, like you want to know that, okay, like Joe Charles, if we just get righty on righty Joe Charles, we feel really good about our chances. But it's like maybe Peyton Prescott's the guy you should have gone with. Maybe it should have been Manka. But the fact that they've got guys that have showed you that they can actually get through some of these situations against a top 5 team with the level of pressure that was on it this weekend, just let yourself, everybody, at least anticipate and hope that they can win a national championship with this team, because I know it's so easy to say the team that they had last year, you need that kind of team with 1 or 2 more arms to win a national championship, because with that roster, you are far and away better than everybody you're going to probably play. This team can't say that probably about anybody that they would be matched up against in Omaha. But, man, they're good enough. They are good enough to win a national championship.
Yeah, and again, I think you have a 1, 2, 3 in the lineup that's as good as anybody in the country. Don't know what they'll be drafted as. But Harrelson, Lodice, Max Williams, that's a really strong top of the order. Yeah. Like I talked about, you've got two frontline starters, and you got to hope you get lucky in the sense that not like somebody hits a line drive right at a shortstop for a double play or something. Like Peyton Prescott pitched pretty darn well on Friday night. I don't think he gave up a run in that extra inning that he came in. So did Kinnear. Yeah. Then they pitched on Sunday. Prescott gave up 2 runs in his inning, and Kinnear faced 1 batter with the bases loaded and walked him on 4 pitches. So you don't know what you're going to get, but if they're on, they can be lights out. So at least it's in there again. Like going back to what I was talking about earlier, with like at least you know it's in there that they can do it. Like Sawchuck can do it. We don't know if Cam Davis will ever be something. We know Sawchuck can be something, just like we know Prescott can get it done. We saw him at Miami. We've seen Ben Barrett have some nice moments. We've seen Mason Martinez have nice moments. Obviously, Joe Charles was not good at all on Friday night, then came back and was huge on Sunday. When he came in when it was 11-9, and they didn't score again. And he struck out 5 and 2.2. Like, if he's on, he's really, really good. And so it's almost like when you think about, like, if Drew Farrow was on, he's one of the best hitters in the conference. Sometimes he's not on. That's baseball. He might have a series where he has 1 hit. He also might have a series where he has 7, including 3 home runs. Miles Bailey, same thing. Like, you almost have to view the pitching like that. Like, you just hope you get the best version of 2 or 3 of those guys every weekend to win a series or to keep winning postseason games. Like Prescott, Charles, Abraham, those 3 right there, that's not a bad trio if they're pitching well, because they've shown they can do it. Kinnear can get you some outs. Like, there's some stuff there to like. It's not consistent at all. But you know what, Aslan? You don't got to be consistent in Omaha. Nope. You're just about to be good that day. Yep. Get it done that day, and then you move on to the next day. It doesn't matter that you were really good in May. It matters that you got those 5 outs. In fact, I want to shout out anyway, like Connor Holtz. I met his dad on Sunday, and I talked to him for a few minutes. And we were talking about Connor. He said Connor's working back, might be ready to go. He tweaked something, but he's trying to work back from injury and could be good to go. And he would be a big arm out of the pen if he pitches like last year. And I know nobody remembers this because I had forgotten about it. Last year, Connor Holtz pitched the final 4 1/3 innings to close out North Carolina.
Shove.
In Omaha.
Yep.
And that was obviously a top 8 North Carolina team. They were in Omaha, and he shoved for 4.1 innings. Like, it didn't matter that maybe he had some struggles earlier in the year. And he was good for most of the year, but he had some bad moments too. But when it mattered in Omaha, he was lights out. That's like, you just hope you can find moments like that. And at least you have guys that are capable of missing bats and are capable of going on 2 or 3 inning runs when they're really good. And again, it helps that you have 2 of the best starting pitchers in the conference. Also, while I'm out, real quick, though, because I'm going to forget. I already said hey to him, Mr. Holtz. You're the man. There was a couple from Valdosta that I met. I'm horrible at this. I'm almost positive her name was Summer. I want to say his name is Chris, but it was 1 syllable. Can't remember. I'm sorry, buddy. We took pictures, but yeah, you remember who you are. I remember you. Very nice. They were very nice. And then I also talked to a lady named Kathleen, who came up and made a point because she saw me the night before but said she didn't want to bother me, but came up and made a point before the game on Sunday to tell me that she loves listening to you and I, and we help. She listens to us when she walks to the gym.
Nice.
So there you go. Kathleen, you're the best.
Who has more home runs in the major leagues right now? Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout, or Cal Raleigh?
Does Cal Raleigh have the most?
Cal Raleigh's got 12 home runs. He is your current Major League Baseball home run leader.
We were talking about that. Like, he might end up, it's going to be close, but he might end up being the all-time Florida State home run king in the major leagues. Like, we think that J.D. Drew has the most, and it's like 230. But he's already, like, if he hit one more today or two more today.
He's 105 right now.
Yeah, so did he hit one today? So, yeah, he's at 105, but he's hitting like 30 a year. So 5 more years, he's past him if he can keep this up. But it's also hard as a catcher. They wear down quickly, so you want to take advantage of your prime when you can. But, yeah, man, what a great career he's had.
Do you know with what team J.D. Drew hit the most home runs in a single season in his Major League Baseball career?
I would guess the Atlanta Braves.
That's correct.
I feel like that was his only year he was an all-star, too. And then he left for more money and then didn't play well again. He should have stayed in Atlanta, man. Laid back. He's a Georgia kid. He had his best year in Atlanta. Then I think he went to the Dodgers maybe.
Correct. He had 31 dingers.
Yeah,
in
he was
2004.
awesome. Yeah, he was awesome. He was really good.
Finished 6th in MVP voting.
They did trade Adam Wainwright for him. And they only got 1 year out of him. So as much as I loved that year by J.D., and he was very, very good, that was not a great trade by the Braves. You could add Adam Wainwright for the next 10 years, and you traded him for 1 year J.D. Drew.
So
but I don't remember stuff like that. Like I can't even remember where Freddie Freeman went. I don't even know where he went. All I know is Matt Olson's in the house, man. That's all we care about.
J.D. Drew, 2004, 6th in MVP voting, slugged .569.
Yeah.
The guy who won the NL MVP that year,
that shouldn't count.
Bobby Bonds' son, slugged .812.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Those numbers he put up.
609 OBP.
It's ridiculous. It's like what Brady did as a 9-year-old. Like, they're just not even real numbers. That shouldn't even count.
Oh, jeez. Luke Laux, first pitch. Got to get it up a little more loft on it, a little R-angle work.
Yeah, I was looking for a little more out of Luke since he played quarterback in high school, like at a really high level. Could have been a college quarterback. I was hoping for a little more out of that. But, hey, everybody gets nervous. Apparently it's really hard to throw a first pitch. Who am I to judge?
It is.
He's certainly a pretty darn good athlete that he played high-level quarterback in high school and then also was a starting point guard on an ACC basketball team.
I sent you and Ira my first pitch at the Mississippi Braves AA affiliate game back when I was the sports director. It was WAPT night.
Is that what you did? I didn't click on it. I thought it was a YouTube video of like all the worst throws and first pitches in history or something. I'm like, yeah, man, I've seen 50 Cent. I've seen Gary from Howard Stern's show. I didn't know it was actually yours. I'll have to click on it.
It was me. I threw it off. I threw it off the apron. Not even the apron. I was maybe 2 feet off the mound.
Oh,
didn't bounce it though.
Okay, well, there you go. That's nice. Good work.
But my motion, I went all the way back, but I stopped like halfway through my delivery because I just didn't trust it.
I have a hard time throwing overhand anyway because of my shoulder issues. I think if I ever did the first pitch, I would do like a submariner. I would
Chad
turn
Bradford?
my back. I would actually turn my back to the catcher and then step towards third and just whip it from down by the dirt. Just something different, right?
Yeah.
If I'm going to bounce it, I'm at least going to bounce it looking like Dan Quisenberry.
Was Clemson's closer? Does he do that?
I don't know.
Funky delivery on
Looked like he did, yeah.
Florida State had
Hey,
some
by the way, shout out to Jaylen Brown. While we've been recording to this, a former Nole Jaylen Brown.
Once a Nole, always a Nole, Corey.
Right. He committed to Arkansas. So he went to Arkansas. Wow. Just throwing that out there. And
Trevor
before
Jackson
we're done,
getting the band back together.
I really want to shout out the softball team again.
Okay.
It's really cool they won the ACC. Jazzy Francic throwing the no-hitter. They're more common in softball than college baseball, but they're not that common. They're certainly not common enough for the ESPN announcer, who I think was Pam Ward, to act as if she just called a pop-up in the third inning of a game. Like, she didn't have any emotion at all. She's like, and that's a pop-up to center, and yep, that'll do it. The Noles win. Meanwhile, they're mobbing Jazzy on the mound or in the circle, and it took the color analyst to be like, yeah, she just threw a no-hitter because Pam Ward, who's a pro, man, she's been doing it forever. I think it was Pam Ward. I could have been wrong. I could be wrong. But I think she must not have known. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt that she just didn't realize that it was a no-hitter because the game was 10-0. But so shout out to them. Ashton Danley had another really solid start too. Those two. So the reason I'm bringing this up is I'm starting to get you're starting to see the makings of what could be, I'm just throwing it out there, Aslan, potentially a 2-year run like Oklahoma coming up. I'm telling you. You have Kennedy Harp, who didn't play this weekend because she's hurt, but hopefully she'll be back. You got Jasoni Beecham, who's, for her, has had kind of a down year, but she's only hitting .333 with 12 bombs and 50 RBIs. You've got Issa Torres, who I think should be the ACC Player of the Year. She had like 6 more hits this weekend, had 3 hits on Sunday, including a home run. But then you've got Bueno, who's a sophomore too, who's taken over kind of the first base role. She's starting to hit really well. You've got Danley, who's become one of the better pitchers in the conference, and now you throw Jazzy into the mix. You've got a core of six or 7 players here that are all sophomores or younger that are really, really good. Now, obviously, you losing Janai Kerr and Edenfield's going to hurt when the season's over. But if you have this core, like elite players, and then you go sprinkle in some people from around the country or your freshmen on this class, they could be having a nice little run, man. That's that offense is legit.
And it doesn't seem like there's a absolute juggernaut this year in collegiate softball.
Yeah, Oklahoma lost 2 out of 3 to Florida.
Yeah.
And you shut out that Florida team 4-0. So, Florida scored a lot of points on Oklahoma. Yeah, they are not unbeatable. This is not. Was that 21 when they had that team that was just ridiculous? Yeah. That Florida State even won one game. This is not that. You can go win in Oklahoma State. You got to get there, and it's never easy. Like softball's really hard, but you've got the pieces to make a real run because I like what you've done with these 2 young pitchers. They really seem to be coming into their own. They're so much better pitching-wise than they were last year. Defensively, still not great. I think they're like 12th in the ACC in fielding percentage, which is not great. But that offense is so good and that pitching is so good that you like your chances. And I was just excited because Issa Torres had a great series. Alex Lodis had a great Sunday. And I'd put on the message boards about just singing their praises before this weekend. About Lodis and Torres being 2 shortstops at the same school that might be the 2 best players in the country. They happen to play the same position. And then I was like, I just jinxed them for the rest of the season. And, of course, Lodis doesn't give a hit for the first 2 games. He did walk like 5 times, but I'm like, yep, I jinxed Lodis. But, no, he went and had 3 hits. Issa Torres had a great weekend, and it's really cool that both those players play at Florida State, and you get to watch and cheer for them.
Yeah, shout out Lodis. Like, Lodis had a chance in that makeup part of Sunday, the last inning and a half on from Saturday's makeover that he could have tied the game up, and he popped up I think the very first pitch that he faced. But I think
it was 4-3 with first and second 2 outs, right? I think when he came up, and he popped it up.
First pitch popped up, but then in Game 3, the deciding game Sunday afternoon, he hits a solo home run to get the offense started for. I think they ended up they hung 5 runs in the first inning. So that's what you do. You bounce back like that when you're a Golden Spikes.
No, I think that was the only run they had in the first inning. They had 7 in the second.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, there you go.
And shout out to Chase. One more thing about Chase Williams. He's an emotional man. They might have the 2 most emotional Williamses in the country. Chase struck out and slammed his bat.
Yeah,
and they were up.
Yeah.
But I like that he competes like that. Just like I like Max competing. Again, just don't call the pitcher an F and B. That's all we're saying. But anyway, But Chase Williams does. You remember when Sammy Sosa would run out to right field at Wrigley Field and fire up the people in the bleachers?
Yeah.
Chase Williams has taken it upon himself to do that to the people in the left field bleachers.
Hell yeah.
And also, anytime he catches a ball, he throws it into the crowd, even if he's 100 feet away.
I've seen
that. Keep your head on a swivel, everyone, if you're out in those bleachers, because the ball's going to be incoming. But, man, I just like that. After they had that 7-run inning, and he had 2 hits in that inning and stole 2 bases, he sprinted out to left field and was screaming in front of him and, flexing, not flexing hey, show me adulation, just telling him to get up, trying to fire up the crowd. That's a cool thing to have. I like that kind of injection of enthusiasm in a team, and he's certainly got a lot of it.
All right, that's a wrap for us.
We did it.
We did do it. I've done my initial dive into the Florida State-Alabama scouting report, Corey.
Oh,
maybe
already?
We'll touch on that later in the week. We'll do a mailbag show. Maybe we'll do a live show this week, maybe next week.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm actually gonna be in Orlando with my lady all week. She's got to go over there for a work conference, and they're staying at a pretty nice resort. So I'm going with
By
her.
the pool, all right.
So we're gonna see what kind of connection I have over there. But
All right,
definitely playing. We're gonna be doing something.
We'll show.
But if it's,
maybe not a live one though.
I was gonna say, if it's not a great connection, we might not be able to pull off a live show.
All right. You know who does a live show? Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah.
All the
That's right.
freaking time. Check them out 1 to 4 o'clock. Headline's going to happen Tuesday?
Not sure yet.
Okay.
Got to figure that out with the connection. Going to find out on Monday.
Well, check out warchant.com for everything in the interim. We've got you covered. That's what we do. He's Corey. I'm Aslan. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com.